Hello, hello, welcome. Elizabeth here, and I am coming on to chat about how to stop falling for unavailable men. So, ladies, is this you? Do you keep falling for the unavailable guy who doesn't choose you? Here's how it usually goes. So you meet a guy, there is a lot of attraction, chemistry, and fun. He's charismatic and charming. He's got the masculine qualities you admire, like being successful, driven, smart, and he pursues you at first, and you fall for him. And it's at this point that something shifts, whether it's a few dates or a couple months in, where you notice that there's more and more time in between him texting you or responding to you. He's asking you out less or not at all anymore, even though maybe you're getting the occasional text or response. And he tells you he's really busy at work at the moment. Sometimes that's a really great excuse that we'll hear from them. But you know it's more than that. And you do have a kind of a radar for detecting when a man is pulling back. And so you're feeling like he seems to be less motivated to pursue you and see you. And you're confused because in the beginning, he was so into you. And as you feel this change begin, you start feeling really anxious. And in response to that anxiety, you start leaning forward. You are working harder to be the girl that you think he will want, to have few demands, to be the fun, cool girl, to be sexy, to be interesting. And it's at this point that you stumble on something like feminine energy, for example, or texting tricks to get a guy to chase you again. And you're just trying to do all the things you can to try to get this guy to come back towards you and pursue you the way he had seemed to be in the beginning. And you can literally think of nothing else but him. So your anxiety is skyrocketed. And in the end, he does disappear, or he tells you he's met someone else, or, he's just not ready for something, and you're heartbroken and the pain is intense. It's almost too intense considering it wasn't even a relationship and you didn't date him that long. You can't stop thinking about him and why you weren't enough for him. Why didn't he want you? What are you missing? And you don't want to be hung up on this unavailable man. You want to fall in love with an available man, a man who chooses you back. But you either seem to find that you're attracting quote unquote safe men who you don't feel crazy about and get bored with, or quote unquote the dangerous men who you kind of knew would break your heart, but you fell for him anyways. So the question you're asking is, why can't you find the man who you are attracted to, who's available and wants you back? And why are you getting hung up on unavailable men? So is this you? Because if it is, you'll want to keep listening. I'm going to share about how to turn this around, how I've helped many clients who were in your shoes turn this around. And I want you to know that I really get it. I get where you are because this is actually my story too. This was also me. I didn't fall for many guys. It was rare for me to meet a man I really liked from the start, but it always ended up being a man who didn't choose me. He would typically come on hot and strong, pursue like you'd expect a man too who's interested. And, I wasn't falling for him until that happened, but then he'd be all I could think about. And the longer it went, the more he was all I could think about. And I'd obsess about everything that I'd said to him, the way I'd acted. What should I text? What should I not text? Should I text? Should I not text? What should I say that would hook him? How could I hook him? And these guys, the very few that I fell for, they would always be the ones who would start fading out. They would disappear, which at first would make me kind of try to chase them, right? Leaning forward, reaching out, trying to establish connection, trying to see if I could make something happen. And when I'd finally ask him, what's happening here? Or where do you see this going? The answer was always not an answer, or something like, I really like you, or let's take this slow, let's just enjoy the moment, or I can't. And, it really hurt. It was really frustrating. And on some level, it never fully dissuaded me. Like I would try to convince them to choose me, or choose us because I could see how great we could be together. Why didn't they ever feel that way back? I would be feeling like, why didn't they like me enough? And when they'd finally disappear, it would literally be like experiencing the worst heartbreak all over again. I had spent years getting over one of them, who I hadn't even really dated for all that long. And when I realized that maybe this falling for guys who didn't choose me, who were actually unavailable or unavailable to me, might actually have something to do with me because I was the common denominator. These were the guys that I was falling for. I was the one going through this intense like attachment to these men. That's when everything changed. What I discovered and how I changed this pattern for myself, it doesn't only apply to me. And by the way, now I am happily married, but it's helped many of my clients who came to me with this pattern and that pattern and actually attract and find their dream man who is available and who does choose them, and stop chasing these unavailable guys. Stop being hung up on these unavailable guys. Stop being hooked on them and actually be attracted to high quality available men who adore them, commit to them, and want to and do marry them. I just had a client who for years was hooked on an unavailable guy, but she kept kind of going back to him, hoping and trying to get him to choose her, to finally get over him and to meet an incredible man who treats her like a freaking princess, who wants to give her the world and everything she's ever wanted. She's met his whole family, he's met hers, and he's assuring her every day that he is not going anywhere, that she is his dream woman, and they're literally planning their life together, the future together. To this guy, from years of being hooked on different guys who really couldn't give her anything, didn't want to give her anything, maybe text her for sex. That would be it. And she broke that cycle of being hooked on those guys. So ladies, how do you break this cycle? Let's talk about it. So we first have to understand what causes us to be attracted and fall for these unavailable men who don't choose us. If we don't understand what's behind that, we're not going to be able to address it. So number one, falling for unavailable men is a symptom of deeper childhood wounds. So this is usually because of what happened with your father or your mother. There was a lack of safety, consistency, availability, connection, stability in your connection to a primary attachment figure. Number two, unavailability triggers our love blueprint, which is our inner mapping around what we look for in love, what we experience as love that comes from what we experienced as love in childhood. So your love blueprint says that love feels unavailable, insecure, dangerous, hard to get or keep, something you have to earn. So when we meet a man who feels similar to that, to what we experienced in childhood when we were trying to get love, we feel intense chemistry and feel like we're falling in love with this person. And our whole signaling goes boom, 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 this is the one, this is the guy. So number three, you have an inner child who carries an abandonment wound. So our inner child will attach to men who don't choose us because they remind her of the parent she felt abandoned or unchosen or unseen by. And so she is seeking for that man subconsciously to choose her this time so that wound can be healed, so she can feel worthy again. And sadly, the very men she is attracted to are the ones who are going to reenact that original wounding and not heal it, and thus actually reinforce it. So the intense pain that you feel when he doesn't choose you actually is not about him. It's coming from the original wound to do with that parent, often a father, that hasn't actually been addressed. Number four, the inner child wounding you carry needs to be healed and your love blueprint updated. So your inner child's current love blueprint is not what's driving who you are falling for or how you respond to them. When you do this, you will naturally stop falling for and even being attracted to men who won't choose you and aren't available. And you'll start to be attracted to men who are ready, available, and wanting something serious with you for the long term. They are out there right now because of how your love blueprint is wired. You're not seeing them. They're not lighting up on your map. So you're not actually available for that kind of love right now. That's the real truth. And I know this deeply because the switch that happened in me was this, from actually unavailable, even though I thought I was available, to being available when I healed this wound. And that was immediate. I met my husband only a month or so after. And before that, I honestly wouldn't have appreciated or noticed him because I really wasn't actually available myself because of my love blueprint and what I was calling love and chasing after for love. And that's the truth. When you chase unavailability, you're really not available either. So, my loves, a fulfilling, committed, and healthy relationship that lasts is your birthright. And anyone who wants it can find it. But we have to do the inner work to change our love patterns and become available and recognize and seek what's actually good for us. Inside the High Value Woman Mastermind, which is my live group coaching program, it is designed to help you with the inner work and the practical guidance, like recognizing availability versus unavailability, that you need to address the root causes of your patterns with men, raise your self-worth, find security and self-love within, so you can embody your worth with men instead of seeking it externally. Learn how to navigate dating in an empowered way from an empowered, worthy feminine, so you can be pursued by, attracted to your right man. And finally, find that fulfilling relationship that lasts. So we are currently open for enrollment for the next round. Enrollment ends at the end of December, so we are a couple weeks out. If you would like to join, know that there are limited spots because you are getting one-on-one coaching and attention on every single call, and you want to apply now. So if 2024 is the year that you are going to end your negative patterns with men and find available love with an amazing man who adores you and you adore too, then don't hesitate to join. You don't need to keep wasting years spinning your wheels, picking the wrong men over and over and over. So I don't want you to waste another year struggling with men because you don't have to. Love gets to be easy and effortless, and finding it and keeping it isn't hard when you do this inner shifting work and you develop a skill set for it. And that's what I'm teaching you inside the mastermind. So send me a DM if you're watching on Instagram, or you can click the link in my bio to apply for your spot. If you are on YouTube, the link to join the High Value Woman is in the description box. All right. Bye, ladies.